Hey, brothers and sisters, Aaron Clark here with my beautiful wife,
Pam Clark.
Pamela. Pamela of 24 years and 7 children. Two of the children she had before we were married. Then we got married and had 5 children together. So a lot of dynamics there in our relationship. And we're here to talk to you this week. I promised you we would host one of our fights, and we had to talk about which one we would talk about because there's been a lot of them. Not so much anymore.
Right.
But before we do that, I want to talk to you about One Heart Marriages. One Heart Marriages is a ministry local to Kankakee. They have the Mystery of Marriage series going on right now. You can go to One Heart Marriages, sign up free of charge. You can register for free. If we had never got involved in a marriage ministry, I don't know. I can't imagine where we would be if we hadn't gotten to a healthy community of marriages and with people who could tell us how to work things out. So check it out. It's free of charge. Mystery of Marriage. Now specifically that's for newlyweds, couples who are aspiring to marry, or if you have never had premarital counseling. If you got mixed blended families like ours, that's a serious dynamic. They can help you with all of that kind of stuff. So check it out. Now, our 2-mile fight. So me and my wife actually fought for 2 miles. Thankfully, it was in a car, so it didn't last forever. And so it started off in our living room. So Pam she was a little firecracker. She always wanted to fight. She just felt like at 130 pounds up against my 180, she just felt like she could jump up on me. And so I never would hit her or nothing like that. But more than one occasion, I had to physically restrain her, or something was gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
So this particular occasion, I was holding her down on the ground. And so I'm holding her down, and she is going crazy. I mean, crazy. I can't reason with her. I can't talk to her. It was just simply, when I get up off this floor, I'm going to kill you. So I'm looking at the screen door. The door is open, but the screen door is closed. And I'm thinking, how can I get up off of her fast enough and get out the door without her catching me or throwing something at me or something? It was probably going to be a bite in the back of the head or something like that. And so my next thought was, is the screen door locked? Because that could cost you 4 seconds. And man, 4 seconds with this little woman coming after you, boy, you'd be dead. You'd be dead. So anyway, I ended up pushing her away and getting out the door. That's where we started.
Somehow we had to go grocery shopping. Don't ask us how we wind up in the same car after a fight going grocery shopping, but we did. And on the way to the grocery store, we were arguing still about whatever it was we were fighting about. And at the red light, he said something, and it just sent me in a rage. So I just started hitting him at the red light. So we were kind of just fighting at the red light. And the light changed and turned green. Somebody blew. We looked, noticed the light was red, proceeded on to the grocery store, got in the grocery store, and I looked at Aaron while we were in line. He had scratches all over his neck. He was bleeding on his hands, and I'm thinking, wow, that was a lot in that little period of time. But yeah, those are some of the crazy things that we went through, and we still to this day don't even know what we were fighting about.
No idea what we were fighting about. And I just remember, man, pulling through that red light. I had to turn. So I was trying to hold her down, keep a foot on the gas, turn, and I just remember the people that were looking at us like, what is going on in this car?
Right.
And so we got home, and that's the crazy thing, is we to this day don't know what we were fighting about. And that wasn't the first time. We had so many fights. We would stop, we would finally get our heads together, and we would say, okay, what were we fighting about? And it's like, I don't know.
Right.
And so that keyed us into something that's very significant. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But we learned through all of this that we had a faulty fight strategy. And we were fighting, but we were fighting each other. And we had to learn how to fight for each other and not fight with each other. We had to start to fight shoulder to shoulder instead of toe to toe. And you know, you will learn more about that as I talk about it. But right now, it's just to get into your mind that if we're going to just keep going toe to toe, it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah. And so we had to develop a strategy of learning how to fight for each other, to fight for our marriage, to fight for our children, and not take everything out on each other. And men, we used to be going crazy on each other. I did spiteful things and she did spiteful things. We were mean to each other. And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. And when we started to get honest and start telling each other the truth, start apologizing, because things had started to go out the window, saying apology, saying I'm sorry, saying thank you, saying forgive me, saying excuse me. I mean, the tension just got so thick, man. I mean, I could just sit next to some flowers and they would just die. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. You're just so mad. It's just crazy. And but we learned how to kill that cankerworm. The cankerworm that was slowly deteriorating the fabric of our marriage. We learned how to kill that. And that's what we want to share with you. We want to share with you, man, you don't have to keep fighting. You don't have to keep fighting. And don't let nobody believe, because one thing we had to learn to do was watch who was in our circle.
That's right.
And man, because when we started really checking, we had people that was in our circle. They wasn't fighting for us either. They actually were inviting the fight. They were causing things to escalate rather than talking some sense into our heads. You know, I had guys like, man, you know, the easiest thing, just get you a chick on the side. And I'm like, man, dude, I'm trying to stay alive. My wife will kill me, you know. And I couldn't live with myself. You know, I would die one way or the other, you know, whether she killed me or I just died from the guilt and the shame, you know. And she had friends in her life.
Yeah, just talking to people. There were times, and I didn't realize this. It took the Holy Spirit to show this to Aaron. And then when he showed it to me, I started to realize it's true. I would be on the phone with a certain person. We would be having a conversation. And by the time I got finished talking to this person, I was angry with Aaron. I mean, he couldn't do enough. We didn't have enough. It was just the circumstances that we were in just became heightened. So I was just upset with him by the time I got off the phone, not realizing that it was the enemy using this person in our conversations to stir up things.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, these are some simple things as you just think about what is your fight strategy. Is it faulty? Because a faulty fight strategy for us was to fight each other. It was to turn toe to toe. It was to place blame. It was to try to vindicate ourselves. It was to defend ourselves against each other instead of fight for each other. We had to turn that into watching who we listening to, watching what people saying about marriage, you know, watching all these shows with cheating folks, and you know, and just it just aroused suspicion and all of this kind of stuff. Watching what we accept people saying about women or men or wives or husbands, and start believing each other for each other. And we had to make some serious decisions about protecting our marriage. We had to sit down and decide what we were going to fight for. Take note of that. Yeah. We decided what we were going to fight for. And if it wasn't on this list, we weren't fighting for it. Right. We're not going to argue about it. It's not worth the peace in our home. Forget about that. It might be worth the discussion, but it is not worth the escalated fighting and all of that kicking and screaming and bread box busting up and stuff. I did all that stuff. So, you know, it wasn't worth all of that stuff. Right. So we compiled a list of what are we going to fight for? We're going to fight for our children. We're going to fight for our marriage, our health. We're going to fight for community. We're going to, you know, you make that list. And that's what we did. We believe that if you do these things, and everything is going to be custom to your family. Some of the things it's just common sense, but some of the things are going to be specific about the way you communicate, and you will see that in little or no time that worm is stalling out.
Yes.
He's drying up. He's choking.
Yeah.
The salt of the earth is getting to him, and your marriage and the life of your marriage is coming together again. You can be happy again. So till next week, God bless you. Next week is going to be really good because we're going to talk about the very end when you at you just feel like it's done,
Yeah.
and how you can actually come back from that. So God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.